employers, it looks like there are two pictures. On the one hand, you have certain graduates whose skills seem to be oversubscribed. In other words, employers seem to be lining up for them. And very often this has to do with the colleges. For example, if you're fortunate enough to be a graduate of Ashesi, it appears as if your future in terms of your job and career opportunities is bright. Ashesi students, for one, seem to be in demand all over the world, and not just from mediocre employers. We're talking about blue chip companies. At the same time, and in between times, there is an association of unemployed graduates in Ghana. Graduate employment or unemployment, what are your thoughts? I've got two guests. One is from the University of Ghana Business School. Dr. Amposa is a lecturer in human resource management. And I've got Rispa Frimpong from the West End University College, and she specializes in marketing. So join me on air and online. I might be able to open the phone lines, but Facebook is open 24/7. Just find TV3 Sunrise, log in, like the page, and ask questions in near real time, but it's still live. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise. Rispa and Doc, how are you feeling this morning?
Very well, thank you. Good morning.
Let me rephrase that question. How are you feeling in terms of the opportunities for employment of the graduates or would-be graduates of your colleges, your university, your college?
Well, thank you for having me. I believe, especially I remember just talking to you, mentioned the issue of graduate unemployment and the Graduate Unemployment Association that we have in Ghana here. It is quite sad and it's quite embarrassing that as a nation we have such a thing happening. But the thing is, I believe the traditional stream of education has been preparing people to get into employment. But what we are trying to do at Western University College is really preparing students to go out there and be job creators. And I think that is what has been lacking in the past. And so we are trying to train our students with the right skills, so that when they graduate, and for some reason if they happen not to be able to gain employment, they could go out there and create something.
You are trying to prepare your students, in other words, to become entrepreneurs.
For sure.
Not to look for jobs, but to create jobs.
To create jobs, yes.
How do you go about preparing them for that?
Well, for one, we do bring in experienced entrepreneurs to come and share ideas, and also to offer training in terms of how they went about, setting up successful entrepreneurial ventures. And so as part of the training that we do, every student that comes through Western University College has to go through a series of courses in entrepreneurship, regardless of what you take at the university. And I believe that those skills that is given throughout their school year prepares them for that type of venture.
What's the story at UGBS, Doc?
Well, as you all are aware, the University of Ghana Business School has been the foremost business school in the country, and for 50 years and still counting. We've churned out a number of business moguls, we've churned out a number of CEOs, we've churned out a number of executives in corporate organizations in the country, and we continue to do the same. But as you rightly said, lately the number of students that we churned out as opposed to opportunities out there, well, they do not match the opportunities out there. There are fewer opportunities out there than the number of students being churned out. All because industries are not expanding, all because we are not getting new industries being created. And it's also because of the phenomenon of lean thinking in industries now. Now industries are thinking lean, and hitherto operations that used to be labor intensive are now more capital intensive, and in a capital intensive environment you require less human beings than technology, and that is in itself contributing to the unemployment rate. Well, we're not oblivious of that fact, and because of that, well, we're training our students to be ready for the job market. What we're doing currently is to link up with industry to create expansion in industry through the sort of innovative research that is being conducted at the business school, and also through the internship programs that we're organizing at the business school. Our students will get out there to industries and help to expand industry so that, well, opportunities will be created for them. I think that the problem now, and it's a global phenomenon, and hitherto, when you went to the banks in the UK, in the US, you'd have a number of tellers there. Now it's a self-service. You go and you have to self-serve. So, well, organizations are thinking lean now. So what we got to do now is to contribute towards this growth by being innovative, by conducting research that will bring about inventions that will open up industries that can absorb more people. And I think that is what we are doing. At the business school currently, we are in some sort of a relationship with the Chamber of Commerce, where this vacation we're going to get most of our students out there to look out for problems in industry, conduct research that will help expand, so that when they come out, there are ready opportunities out there for them to be absorbed into industry.
Okay, well, listening to you between the lines, so to speak, I'm sort of getting the impression from what both yourself and Rispa have just told me, that no longer is a degree from a business school or university a guarantee of a successful career, a steady job, or a comfortable lifestyle. True or false?
Well, in one aspect you would say it is true, and another aspect you say it's false. But because, well, acquiring the degree in itself is not enough. What you make out of the degree is the most important thing. The number of students out there with certificates and so forth and so on, not because, and first class students I'm talking about, not because, well, you just have a certificate. It is you going out there to prove your worth as well. It's very, very critical. So currently what we're doing, at the University of Ghana Business School, our current dean, Professor Mayor Domfe, has created what he calls the Dean's List. And on the Dean's List, for instance, we have students with grade point average of 3.50 upwards. And these students should not just have the book knowledge, but they should be highly socialized as well. Because, well, out there in employment, we are not just going to look out for people who are smart up there, but also who can fit into organizations as well. So all these things we're doing, and in broadening the scope, what we do now, every Fridays at the University of Ghana Business School, we have what we call Beyond the Curriculum. And the Beyond the Curriculum is more of a program where we bring experts from outside to talk to our students on issues that employers expect from potential employees, what the attitudes that they expect from them, and so on and so on. During our lecturing period also, we have what we call practitioner sessions. And in these practitioner sessions, this time we bring on board practitioners in industry to also interact with our students during our lecturing period as well. And all these things are geared towards exposing our students to the job market, making them ready for the job market.
To the best of your knowledge, are any of your students in this Association of Graduate Unemployment?
For sure not.
For sure not. You say Western University College not represented.
Not represented.
What about UGBS?
Well, I cannot say that we have our students or we don't, because, well, obviously, I cannot confidently say that the number of students that we churn out every year get employed. I have to be very truthful. But no student of ours have come to say that, well, we are part of the Graduate Students Association. Well, so I cannot give a response to that.
Rispa, one of our viewers is reading my mind. Bless Jika says, how can graduates create jobs when there is no capital? It's so difficult to get access to venture capital. You can have, the best GPA, you can have the best idea and a comprehensive business plan tucked under your arm. Go to the bank or to a lending institution, to an investor. You hear one word that can just smash your hopes. You know that word?
Yes.
Collateral. Collateral.
Yes, and I think that is very true. The point is that, you know what, we all have great ideas, and I think, but the difficulty is always transforming that idea into something that is very marketable or something that is very attractive to potential investors. So what we're doing right now at Western University College is really helping students in terms of how they go about developing those business ideas, turning them into good business plans. And we also have a center for entrepreneurship and innovation, where, we bring in experts who will sit them down, turn those ideas into something that will become successful entrepreneur ventures. We are not just sending students out there saying that go and become an entrepreneur. That is not possible, But at the center, we'll be able to help students with the right skills, with financial resources, advice, and some type of networks that we have, with organizations out there, so that we don't just leave our students alone to go out there to try and survive in, the marketplace. Is not that easy. So we have a center. As soon as our students come in, we encourage them to put business plans together. And as they go along, those ideas will be refined and reformed, and experts will sit down with them at the end of the day and package those ideas properly, so that, you know, upon graduating, you know, somebody will always be there to hold their hand to go and set up. It is not an easy thing. It is not an easy thing. So the notion that, you know, you could just go out there and start a business. I always tell myself that, you know what, Ghanaians, for some reason, we all have this sense of entrepreneurial spirit in us. But that alone is not enough to become a very successful job creator. You know, the key thing is that you require certain skills. Setting up a small business is not an entrepreneurial venture. You know, that is just a small business. So we have to try and distinguish between, you know, small business ventures and entrepreneurial skills. When you talk about entrepreneurial skills, we're talking about people that are able to be very innovative and come up with the ideas that will transform society as a whole. Those are the things that we are interested in. And if any of our students is able to come up with something like that, then the school will invest in those type of ventures. And if we cannot invest, we will bring the right people in to help invest in those projects.
And Doc, many young people would probably come to you and say, well, it's great to have a degree, it's great to learn the theory, it's nice that you're trying to do your best, but the reality out there is something that we don't think the classroom or the lecture hall prepares us for. Too much incidence of whom you know, and too much incidence of what you have. In other words, personal connections and corruption when it comes to achieving something in business, even getting a job. How could you possibly prepare your students for that?
Well, I must say that, well, personally, I don't agree to that particular saying that, well, the whom you know system. Because, well, in every organization is looking out for the best candidate. If you want to grow, then you would definitely want to go for the best candidate. And
I mean, in the context of business, well, business is who you know.
I agree. And in all this, we see what we're doing at the business school, we understand this phenomenon because, well, we've heard students say this over and over again. This is eating into the minds of most people. So what we're trying to do is to link academia and industry. Now we are in a relationship with the Chamber of Commerce. We are establishing similar relationship with the Ghana Employees Association, Association of Ghana Industries, Chamber, the Telecommunication Chamber. And what we're seeking to do now is that, well, because, well, we know that it is only when industries expand that they can take on a lot more students. So, well, we need to get in there, get to understand the problems of industry. We need to get in there, conduct research that will bring about inventions and that will expand industries to get our students in there. So that is the first thing we have to do. But in the past world, there has been some divorce between academia and industry, and that is not helpful at all. Because, well, industry would have to rely on the research output of academic institutions to expand and to invent. And once these inventions take place, then that is where you create opportunities for your students who are coming. So now, by linking academia to industry, we're creating opportunities for our students to, one, to get on internship programs in industry, one. Two, to also get access to organizations to conduct research work. When you come to the University of Ghana, and I guess I speak for most universities, most of the research works, project works that are conducted by students, well, very, very, very good ideas, very good recommendations, but, well, they are left to gather dust because industries do not have, the industries did not pay for the research, hence they do not find use for the findings. But once students get in there, help to identify the problems and help come out with solutions, well, industries would want to use it. And this is what we are looking at now. Indeed, it is great to have to generate a number of entrepreneurs in the system. But, well, we must also understand that not everybody will be successful at that particular in that particular area.
I want us to also look at competition, how competitive our students are, how competitive our degrees are, whether the competition in the classrooms and the lecture halls translates into competition in the organizational settings when they are given a chance to be interns, growth targets, and so on and so forth. But first, let's take a caller that's online, and the numbers are up on your screen. There's a new number up. It's 973-225. 973-225. It's a landline, so please dial 0302-0302 973-225. Gaddafi, you're welcome to Sunrise. You're live on air.
Thank you very much. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yeah, say good morning to your panel for me. Yeah, I just want to share a concern about we, the graduates out there. I, for instance, I'm a graduate. I've been in the house for 3 years now. I had a lot of proposals and business proposals and all that. But yet, even if I go to the bank for help to start up something on my own, actually all they ask me is about the collateral and all those kinds of things. No one is ready to help and all that. And then in the system, actually people at the top there, when you talk, because they don't see it, they always say no, they don't believe in that. It's always about whom you know and what you have. Actually, I've been a victim of all those kind of things. You apply to a job, go there, politicians will come and invade. Even sometimes when there are this voluntary work for us to go there and then do something little for ourselves, politicians will invade, and then big men will also come and invade. You, the one who doesn't know in the big man, then that means that you are already lost. So I don't know now where we are heading towards. We, those who doesn't know in the but that means that we have to remain that way without getting a job. And it's very, very worrying. Very, very worrying, you know. So I just call to share my views on that and to let people at the top there know that we those down here, we are suffering. Especially we those who doesn't know big Indian politicians. We are suffering. Do good because you don't have anything to show up there. No one is ready to help. And no one.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Gaddafi. It looks like this particular graduate is echoing my question that I posed earlier to you. How competitive is our tertiary education in general, locally, regionally, continentally, and perhaps even globally? There is some good news, and I know you can basically would like to speak for your institutions, but in general, I'm looking here at a post from the Ashesi University College. They say that for the second year running, all 5 Ghanaian students selected to participate in the Goldman Sachs Spring Internship Program in London were selected from Ashesi. So there is competition locally, but how competitive in general is Ghanaian tertiary education? Whisper.
Let me say, we are getting there. Maybe, perhaps we are not where we are supposed to be. I think one of the key things that we are lacking right now is really ensuring that students obtain corporate functional skills. You know, you have students that graduate, you employ them, and for some reason they seem not to know what is going on. And it's very expensive for, you know, employers to
pardon me for interrupting here, but are we training our students to meet a global standard of corporate or industrial skills or a local standard? Because locally our industries are struggling. They're even struggling with utilities like electricity and water. Students are calling saying, well, I've graduated, I'm unemployed. Eric, what you're saying is right. Too much corruption out there in terms of what you know or what you have to offer as a monetary inducement. Let's call it a bribe. Let's call a spade a spade. How well are we preparing our students?
I think that is where networking becomes very critical. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. Networking is very, very critical. So at the tertiary institution level, it is critical that we link our students with industry. That is how we find out the type of functional skills these industries are looking for. If we just think that just equipping students with theoretical skills alone is going to get them where they want to be, it's not going to happen. But where I was getting at before you interrupted, was that when it comes to equipping students with right functional skills, it shouldn't be limited to, just our local economy. Regardless of where our students find themselves in this world, they should be able to be competitive. And so that is the type of skill we are doing at Western University College. If you happen to be employed here in Ghana, you should have the skill to go out there and revolutionize the industry or whoever hires you. If you happen to be employed by an international entity, fine, you should be able to. The fact that you are educated in Ghana shouldn't mean that, you cannot go and compete with, let's say, students from India, China, or the United States. We should be giving our students the right credentials, the right skills, such that no matter where they find themselves, and I think that is what we're doing at Western, and I'm sure a lot of the universities in Ghana are now doing that, because we realize that, you know what, we live in a very competitive global village now. We cannot say, okay, we are going to produce graduates to just go and meet the needs of the Ghana market alone. Right now, we realize that a lot of industries, international industries, are also coming into Ghana. So is there such a thing as, you know, good functional skills that is ideal for the Ghana market and not for the international market? No. A good corporate functional skills will be applicable regardless of where you find yourself. And that is what we need to be focusing on. And I'm sure a lot of the universities have identified this as a problem, because you find that a lot of graduates, a lot of employers are telling us, you know, we have done a lot of research. They will tell you, you know, you hire graduates, they come in, they don't seem to know their way around the office. They don't seem to know the basic functional skills that is required to be successful, you know, as an employee. Why is that? The university classroom is there to train these students, and that is what we are doing.
Let's take a call. Benedict calling us from Legon. Good morning, Benedict.
Okay, good morning, sir. I just want to ask Dr. Tewia about the number of business school students that get employed after school, and then the number that do not get into the job market as well. And then secondly, I heard the Vice Chancellor talking about spacing out the diploma courses from the UGBS. So I wanted to ask if that is going to help, because I know some lecturers in the business school who did diploma and they are now big men in the business school and other places. So I just wanted to know. Thank you very much.
Okay. Detailed question coming from Benedict there.
Oh, Benedict, thanks for your question. I mean, to respond to your question, well, as I sit here, I cannot give you the start. I cannot give you the stats, because we don't have students coming back to report that we don't have jobs. So, well, for us, all our students get employed out there. Much as we don't have our students coming back to report that, well, we don't have jobs, well, we will conclude that all our students are getting jobs. But secondly, on the Vice Chancellor's vision, well, you know that the current Vice Chancellor has a vision of, well, focusing more on the postgraduate training. So, as you can understand, in the business school, hitherto individuals used to come in for the diploma program, then they upgrade to the degree, then they move on. Well, now, well, that per the current Vice Chancellor's vision, well, he has a different vision, targeting postgraduate education. So, well, I think that he will be the right person to answer this question. On the issue of competitiveness, business school, we know very well that, well, every year at the University of Ghana Business School, we have 5 students from the marketing department going to Norway to compete with students from Norway and from other countries. And for 5 consecutive years, all the 5 students come up top of the class and they all receive out. So, well, our students that, well, we produce here in Ghana, they're very much competitive globally. I did my first degree here, did my master's here, and did my PhD outside. When I went out there, I competed very well with my colleagues out there. And within a record time of 3 years, I completed my PhD. Whilst other guys...
What's missing?
The point...
Toxic is saying that we thinks we need to overhaul the whole educational system. Well, I'll read his post in full, but let's take a caller. Rashid calling us all the way from Tamale. Good morning and welcome, Rashid.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I want to contribute to the program. I think the doctor made a relevant point that there is a mismatch between the number of students turn out against the number of industries in Ghana. For me, that is the issue. So the institution should rather focus on coming out with strategies that will support the government to create more industries, to industrialize. I think that can help reduce the situation. Otherwise, it doesn't matter the kind of training they give. Once industries are not created, I don't see how they can be absorbed.
Interesting point there. Back to Toxic Unity's post, Ras. Toxic thinks that most of our traditional universities are not training students to think outside the box, the proverbial box, where some lecturers are not even aware of the use of IT in their particular fields. And if you write a good theoretical idea and yet you have no experience to sustain it, whole sacrifice or risk doing it or participating in it. Recently, Yahoo published a list of, well, less attractive degree programs. Do you think that could be the problem, that we run programs for which there is simply not enough industrial growth to absorb graduates?
that is perhaps true. I cannot deny that fact. There are a lot of graduates, and that is not only limited to Ghana. There are degree programs. When you finish, it's quite difficult, to find jobs. Yes, we need to look at that aspect, but we also need to look at another angle here. I think the notion that every graduate should be employed by the government is wrong, and it's about time we look away from that angle. What we need to do is really what we are trying to do at Western University College. We need to understand the simple fact is there is no nation on earth where the government is the biggest employer. The purpose of the government, and when it comes to job creation, is really to make, the environment or the business environment such that people who come in and invest creates jobs. Okay? If the government were to create all the jobs, it's just not going to happen. What we need is people, inventors, innovators, entrepreneurs to come in. I know somebody called in earlier saying, or was it a Facebook post saying that, okay, yes, I've got the ideas, but, capital.
No capital.
There is no capital.
There is no capital.
Of course there is no capital. How do people, great innovators, they all don't have capital. The point is you have to learn to package your ideas properly. And that is those type of skills that needs to be taught. We need to find a way to link theory and skills, right? If we can link those two together, functional skills. I've got a great idea. How do I turn it into successful business venture? And between the idea and successful business venture, those skills that are in between is what I think our university and a lot of universities should be focusing on.
Doc, I'm looking at your website here, University of Ghana Business School. A really interesting line of text in bold under registration information. It says we do in-house tailor-made courses on request. I want to ask you if somebody's come to you and said, well, I want to succeed in global business from Bolgatanga, and say, train me for that. But before we do that, let's take a call from my namesake, Eric, calling us from Koforidua. I was going to say Koforidua, but then I don't know why I said Bolgatanga. Eric, you're welcome to Sunrise.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the issue under discussion is extremely relevant for national development. The youth of today are suffering because we don't have a national agenda. The issue is that if regional based, there are industries in all regions, which is taking into consideration the empowerment of the youth. Basically, a lot of youth have developed a lot of ideas where they don't know where even to send it. You go to the National Board for small scale industry, and they don't know where to even to tell you. So the point is that people have the ideas. Using the ideas to improve upon their normal way of living has become extremely difficult. People start on their own. What we hear is that Standard Board will come in and say you don't have the necessary requirements and therefore you cannot do that. When you also go there for the necessary requirements, they are also demanding certain amounts of payment. And sometimes an industry which you are nursing, and you are being asked to pay amount of 1,500, 2,000 Ghana cedis before even you can get let's say a Standard Board certification number or whatever kind of thing. It's really killing the youth. What youth have numerous ideas. I have completed the university. I have done my master's. Fortunately for me, I'm gaining employed, but I need to also let those who are unemployed get hands to other activities where you try to use the skills you have acquired to help others, and in helping them, their institutional accreditations, perhaps you need to certify, and when you get there, they are demanding for certain payments. Really, you realize that the interest of helping will be stifled. And I think that if nationwide we are going to look at all these things, it will help in a way in trying to help the youth to perhaps use their talents well and to enrich the nation as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the reason I mentioned Bolgatanga is because I was thinking about tomatoes. Botanically speaking, a tomato is a fruit, but anyone who's ever eaten one or cooked one knows that you cook it or eat it as a vegetable. Talking about tomatoes, we've had reports of tomato gluts in the country that have even led to suicides from farmers who felt that they just could not handle, the pressure, the financial pressure. Has anyone come to you and said, well, train me to become a successful tomato processor in Bolgatanga. I want to conquer the world with my tomato paste, my tomato ketchup. I want to export rather than import, because I understand that situation has led to a reduction in the amount of tomatoes we grow, and that has led to an increase in the amount of tomatoes that we import.
Well, not specifically to Bolgatanga, but at the University of Ghana Business School, we have the Center for Management Research and Productivity Development, CMRPD, and we also have the Enterprise Development Service. With these two agencies within the University of Ghana Business School, we have corporate bodies coming to request for training programs in specific areas. So we offer tailor-made programs for corporate entities who come to University of Ghana Business School. We want to train our employees in global business. We want to train our employees in the area of occupational health and safety management. We want to and we offer that tailor-made research services to corporate entities. And secondly, let us also understand that, well, at the various universities, we train the mind. We train the mind
to think outside the box.
Exactly. We train the mind to be analytical and to be critical in their thinking.
And creative.
That is right. And industry would have to support us to train for skills. Because we don't train for skills in the university. We train the mind. So it is when we train the mind, and this mind with the theories underpinning operations in organizations, it is when we have that synergy with industry, where individuals get on industry for internship programs. That is where they get to acquire the skills. As you would realize, now when you go to the banks, you're not just having guys from University of Ghana Business School. No, you have guys who read religions, who read sociology, geography, all working in the banks. Industry will tell you that, well, when we're looking at fresh graduates, we are looking out for tabularizers.
I was just going to ask you, what is industry looking for? What is a tabularizer?
Well, a tabularizer is more... So, well, when you come in, because they don't want individuals who have, in a way, not to use the word, contaminated themselves with other organizational values.
I'm glad you said contaminated. Is it possible to train an individual within the span of a tertiary course, 2 or 3 years, considering that the person has gone through, preschool, primary, junior secondary, senior secondary, maybe even postgraduate, and has acquired a certain attitudinal and posturing, and maybe has been told, listen, don't get too creative, just answer the question as you've been taught. And here we are, and industry is looking for people who have the right attitude, who have the right skills, who are creative, innovative, and so on and so forth. Do you think that our educational system in general prepares students for the market?
Definitely, we do. At the business school, I can confidently...
At the business school?
Yes, and at the University of Ghana, I can, because, well, I'm coming from this... I used to be at the psychology department. I'm a psychologist, but now I find myself in the business school. The same training I have from the psychology department, the same training you can find in the business school. So I can generalize that, well, it cuts across. But the point we need to understand is that, well, if industry does not open up and link perfectly well with academia, well, this challenge will be there. Because, well, as we train our students to think rightly and to have the right attitude and acquire the theory, well, the industries will also have to open up to offer internship opportunities to hone the skills of these individuals that we are training from the university. And as I said from the onset, it is important that, well, we should understand that globally all industries are thinking lean. And as industries begin to think lean, they will cut down on labor. Things that individuals are supposed to do manually, well, this time technology is going to do. The only way we can take on board many people is to expand. And expansion comes from innovation and invention. And this also comes as a result of dedicated research committed to it. We live in a country where industries are not funding research work in academia. We live in a country where industries are not offering scholarships to students to conduct relevant research that will benefit the industries and will help for expansion. That is the bane. If industries are going to link up, now University of Ghana is doing that. Now we are bringing it down to them. Well, fortunately enough, just last 2 weeks, we started our seminar series. We brought it home. We held it we moved from University of Ghana and we came to the British Council to bring to the general public issues, relevant research that borders on the economy. And this is what we are going to do henceforth. Every quarter, we're going to go home with relevant research, because we think that, well, it is with research and innovation that brings about invention, and it is invention that brings about expansion. And until our industries expand, our graduate unemployment rate will continue to be there.
I'm looking at your website, Rispa, and I can see you've got some interesting programs. You've got some new programs: accounting, management, economics, early childhood education, and basic childhood education. Traditionally, you offer courses in nursing, computer science, IT, entrepreneurship, banking, finance, marketing, HRM, human resource management. Now, you lecture in marketing. How well do you think your students are prepared for the rather competitive marketing environment?
Well, one of the key things that I teach my students really is the importance of networking. I think from
whom you know.
It is one of those things that, yes, it might sound like bribery, but we have to look at it almost as it's networking. And this happens, like I say, all over the world.
Okay, so networking is the academic term word for whom you know.
Perhaps.
Get to know people, get to know the right people.
It is. You have to, as a student, I keep telling them, first impression, regardless of where you are, even as a student, when you come in, the way you present yourself, the times that you show up for class. I make it a point, I'm always in my class, sometimes 30 minutes before my students even show up. And I've got some students came up to me and, why do you show up for class so early? And I said, when you are employed in the future, that is what you're supposed to be doing. Networking is very critical, okay? So as students come in, right from the onset, we are teaching them that it is important to build some type of relationship with businesses, with friends, with family, with anybody that you can find. Because at the end of the day, employers want to make sure that the people that they employ are people they could trust, people that are honorable. We don't want the kind of person who will come in and maybe steal a business idea and run away with it. So the notion that networking or whom you know is bad is not. You just have to package it properly. And so if you're a student and you start, maybe you take on a part-time job, build good relationship with your employer or whoever it has offered you that volunteer work or whatever. If you build that type of good relationship with them, upon graduating from university, such a person will easily hire you. So we shouldn't sit at home and say, oh, it's because I don't know anybody.
So what advice would you give to graduates who are struggling to find employment or to find support, capital, investment for their entrepreneurial ideas?
Well, at our university, if it's a graduate from us, we will take them to our Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation. The center will be able to help you. But if you find yourself as a graduate and you don't have this resource available to you, most entrepreneurs I know, they went to their families first of all. They had a great idea, they packaged it very well, they got a group of family members together, cook them dinner, tell them this is really what I want to do. I've got this great idea. I believe it is going to work. Why don't we come together as a family and see how we can go about this? And if your family cannot help you, talk to friends, and from friends to your neighbors. That is how people go about it. It's not everybody who is going to be able to get a loan from the bank to carry on the adventure. But that networking, again, let me emphasize the importance of that. So I believe that one of the things we need to emphasize here in Ghana is volunteering. As a student, you have to find a way to volunteer. I worked throughout my time in school. Sometimes I didn't get paid. Sometimes I just volunteered. Sometimes I even volunteered to babysit other people's kids. You might think it was silly, but I was a university student babysitting. What that did was link me to the lady of the house who happened to know someone. And so no matter what, even though I didn't get a job directly from that, but that really taught me, the importance of really getting to know people, feeling comfortable how to work with, people, how to work with children, regardless of who I meet right now, whether it's a child or a grown-up person. At least I can, I can interact with them. And so if we are able to build that network around us, one way or the other, even I think one of the things I might have forgotten, let me bring it in, is with the church. If your family cannot help you, if your community cannot help you, what about the church? Go to your church, go to your religious institutions, talk to them that, okay, I've got these great ideas, I cannot get financing from the bank, can you help me? A lot of the churches, if you present them with a very good idea, I'm sure they will be able to help you.
Let's take our last caller for the morning. Prince calling us from Agonaswedro. Good morning, Prince.
Good morning.
Hello, Prince. Please speak up.
My name is Prince calling from Agonaswedro. I think the dilemma between sales and is quite problematic one, and for us graduates who are on the food and have seen it, I think yes, just like Dr. Musa said, the industries, the CEO, they are not helping the institutions. The institution is not just as a graduate and go in there and they train you just as a banker. They train you to pick all programs. And I think CEOs who want to graduate to perform magic. I've once been told about the CEO. I've once been told that friends perform magic. And I don't think there's magic anywhere. Okay, I believe I should be able to perform realistically, not to perform magic. CEOs do not want to really bring condition of service to the employer, okay, for the employer to know that I'm working in an environment which is quite conducive, so I should really come out to perform well. The conditions of service for employment, especially for graduate employment, are very.
Your line is a bit bad, but I think I got the gist of what you were trying to share with us. How much attention does UGBS pay to individual students in terms of counseling them for career opportunities and mentoring them as individuals, one-on-one counseling and mentoring before they enter, whilst they are in the course, and perhaps for a little while after they graduate?
Well, the University of Ghana as a whole, we have a counseling and placement center. So the University of Ghana also has a program where even before every academic year, we have the deans of various faculties moving around institutions and communities, educating final year students on the various programs that we have at the university campuses and the benefits therein and where it will lead you to. But sometimes students even don't know that if you offer sociology, this is what sociologists do. If you offer psychologists, these are the areas that one goes. So that is done. And when you come to the university, you also still have access to a counseling and placement center. At the University of Ghana Business School, we have an internship and placement center, and within the internship and placement unit of the University of Ghana Business School, students who have interviews, who have some sort of interviews with corporate organizations, can come for mock interviews with faculty members who would empanel and interview. So all these things we do to mentor. And at the master's level, we have students, especially at the MPhil level, we have students who are being supervised by lecturers. And these students are supposed to be mentored by their lecturers. So we take students through some form of mentorship. So these things, we have them in the business school, and it is working perfectly well. As I mentioned also, with beyond the curriculum also, students are constantly, every Friday, we have a practitioner from one organization or the other coming to talk to students on the realities out there. So students are being conscientized, and we are preparing our students for the job market. And I think that what needs to be done is for us to link up with industry, so that our students can go in there as interns. And fortunately enough, this vacation we are sure to place all level 300 students at the business school by kind courtesy the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We're going to place all our level 300 students in industry for them to acquire some form. And it is not just going to be when they go to they would have to write a report, and we have to get feedback from the organizations as well. These are structured programs developed at the University of Ghana Business School, just that we can give our students a head start in the job market.
Thank you very much, and some appreciation going to, in particular, his performer Elom Emmanuel Alade. He says he's really impressed about what you said, and he likes the fact that you are being realistic. He says that nowadays it's who knows you and not whom you know. There's an important difference there. You can make yourself known, so think about it. Whom you know, or is it who knows you. I've been talking to Rispa Frimpong from the Western University College and Dr. Amponsah from the University of Ghana Business School. They lecture in marketing and human resource management respectively, trying to connect the dots between the lecture rooms, the classrooms, and the streets, the corporate environments. I've really appreciated all the posts. I'm sorry I've not been able to read all out loud, but I assure that I've read all, and I will share them with my guests in the break. Keep watching Sunrise. We'll be right back.